Hello, welcome back. I am extremely grateful if you are returning for yet another episode of Origin Stories with your host, me, AZDeadpool. So in this episode, we are I say we, but I am going to discuss Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and along the lines of a couple of other things too. But obviously, be forewarned, this is going to be a very heavy spoiler episode, so yeah, keep that in mind. I'm about to dive right into Multiverse of Madness, so nothing is going to be left sacred. I'm going to talk about anything and everything about this movie, so let's hop into the multiverse, shall we? So I'm just going to start off with a brief kind of like rundown of what happens in the movie. So to begin with, we start with an alternate Doctor Strange with Xochitl Gomez's America Chavez. They are running from a demon, trying to get the Book of Vishanti. The Book of Vishanti is is a book that contains anything a sorcerer needs to defeat their enemies. So we start with that. The demon that's after them essentially kills this alternate universe Doctor Strange. Xochitl Gomez's America Chavez opens up a portal to where that leads her into the main Marvel Cinematic Universe. From there, we cut to Doctor Strange waking up as if thinking that was just a dream that he just envisioned with alternate Strange and America Chavez. But then we see him getting ready to go to Christine's wedding. So Christine is married to someone else other than Doctor Strange. And then we see, after like the main ceremony, Strange and Christine talking. And then it's going to be kind of like a repeating question throughout this movie. Christine asks Doctor Strange if he's happy or not. Strange says yes. It's one of those that you can tell, obviously, he says he's happy, but he's not really. As they continue to talk, Strange hears a commotion outside, which turns out to be, I believe, it's Gargantos, cutting through the city and everything like that. Come to find out, Gargantos is after America Chavez. Not sure why just yet. Long story short, Strange and Wong are both able to get rid of Gargantos while in the form of Doctor Strange possessing a street light and pretty much impaling Gargantos right through the eye and removing said eye. Just a quick little thing there, between the huge eye of Gargantos and everything like that, it reminded me a lot of Starro from James Gunn's version of Suicide Squad. Just because in Suicide Squad, Harley was able to defeat or put the final blow onto Starro by stabbing him directly in the eye and everything like that. So kind of little similarities there. So after Gargantos is dead and done with, we see America Chavez talking with Strange. Basically, this is where we get the rundown of what are you doing here? Everything like that, and this is where we learn that this is where Wong and Strange both learned that America Chavez can travel through the multiverse, and the main thing being right now is that she doesn't know how she does it. She doesn't know how she summons portals or anything like that. Just a quick side note on that, the alternate Doctor Strange ends up dying, as I mentioned before, and is also thrown into the main Marvel Cinematic Universe. Strange ends up burying him in a rooftop terrace somewhere in New York. And just a side note another side note or further explanation, we learn that quote unquote dream that Doctor Strange had with America Chavez, trying to get to the Book of Vishanti. America Chavez explains that it's not a dream. It's just it's just another you. It's a multiverse. And just a little quick note on that. She puts the way it's explained is your dreams aren't actually just dreams. They're just glimpses of yourself in a multiverse, which to me, I think that was such like kind of like a cool concept of an idea. I think that would, I just think that's cool. Like to think that when I'm dreaming, I'm actually just looking in the glimpse of a potential multiverse of myself. So yeah, just kind of a cool little thing, I thought. So come to find out later on in the movie, Strange will go to enlist the help of Scarlet Witch, aka Wanda Maximoff. She lets it slip. She lets America Chavez's name slip when Strange didn't even mention the name, so that tells Strange that something's up here. So we come to find out that it's Wanda that's actually after America Chavez and sending or summoning demons and everything else that you can think of after America, so that Wanda can take America Chavez's power. Wanda wants America Chavez's power so that Wanda can travel through the multiverse to find her kids, since they do not exist in this main Marvel Cinematic Universe. Obviously, that doesn't bode well with Strange, so we see the first kind of fight they had, to where Wanda comes to the Camartage, pretty much wipes out a good portion of the students that were there and everything like that. So we have Wong, Doctor Strange, America Chavez, and a couple of other sorcerers that are there. Wanda ends up defeating most of them. As I had mentioned, America Chavez eventually gets away, opens up another portal to... Okay, wait. I'm remembering this a little wrong. I'm a little tired. I know that's a pretty lame excuse, but what it is Wanda was on the cusp of stealing her power, stealing America Chavez's multiverse power. As this is happening, Chavez activates her power, opens up a portal to the multiverse. As that's happening, Strange sees this, pretty much goes after America Chavez, tackles her, pushes both of them through a multiverse, and that's where we see America Chavez and Doctor Strange escape, to where now Wong is only left alone with Scarlet Witch. And this is where kind of the main part of the story kind of really starts getting going further and further. I know that doesn't make much sense, but I'm just gonna roll with it. While we're getting through this, we see both Strange and America Chavez traveling through different multiverses, one after the other. This straight away was so cool to see in IMAX, just to see the differences, because again, there was a paint universe, there was a very futuristic looking universe, what else? There was a noir universe. It looked like they passed through prehistoric times at one point. There was an animated universe. I don't know if that was connected to the Marvel What If universe. Could be, couldn't be. Don't know for sure. There wasn't really any big sort of indication if it was supposed to be the What If universe or not. But who's to say? So they eventually wind up in a different universe. We come to find out this is universe 838, and we find this out through Christine, alternate universe Christine. After okay, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself here, so let me back up a little bit. Once Doctor Strange and America Chavez are in this new universe, they eventually decide, in order to maybe try and find a way to get America Chavez to harness her powers and figure out how she's able to activate a portal to the multiverse. We learn that there is no alternate universe America Chavez. She's legitimately the only one within the multiverse, and then she explains it, which is why she can't dream, thus kind of explaining the whole dream theory of they're not dreams, they're just glimpses of a multiverse of you. So with that in mind, they figure out, or they have the idea, well, maybe this universe's Doctor Strange can help figure out how you activate your powers and everything like that. Once we get, and so they go to the Sanctum Sanctorum in this universe. Once we get to the Sanctum Sanctorum, we see a statue of Doctor Strange, basically with the inscription of saying that Doctor Strange gave his life to defeat Thanos. After that, so they figure, okay, that's not very helpful. There's not much hope since there's no Doctor Strange in this universe either. Doors open and we see it's Carl Mordo, who we saw was in the first Doctor Strange movie, but this now is an alternate universe. Mordo. This Mordo is the Sorcerer Supreme in this universe. So he invites both of them in to kind of tell him of, what Doctor Strange's universe is like. It seemed a little tense at first. I think it was obviously meant to be that, be that way. So since there was tension in the first Doctor Strange movie, because that post-credit scene we saw Mordo basically vowing to stop someone like Doctor Strange from harnessing magic again, and basically, yeah. So as they're explaining, Mordo serves them, I think, what was tea. They start talking more and more about how they got there and everything like that. Strange and Chavez both start to fade as we learn that Mordo was actually kind of poisoned their tea. He used the sands of Nishanti basically to subdue them and everything like that. Later we find out that Doctor Strange and America Chavez both wake up in separate containment pods that were built by this universe's Christine. A little side note on the containment pods. I noticed that America Chavez's containment pod was D22, and Doctor Strange's was D23. I'm pretty sure that was just a little nod to Disney's Expo that they have every year, their D23 Expo. So I thought that was kind of neat. After a little bit of talk here and there, Strange is taken out of his containment pod because Mordo says that the Illuminati will see him to decide his fate. So, as that's happening, we find out that Wanda can dreamwalk with other alternate universes, or universe versions of herself. So, this is basically how she's been trying to go after America Chavez. She's been using demons at first, but she said that she considered that, mercy in a way, because you wouldn't necessarily want another version of a very, the most powerful witch within the universe, and multiverse for that matter. So, since Strange wouldn't just give America Chavez up so easily, this is why Wanda has resorted to dreamwalking with just different multiverse versions of herself. So as she is using alternate versions of herself to get to America Chavez, this is when Strange is being met with the Illuminati. And again, I'm leaving out details here and there. I'm trying to give a simple. Well, I say simple. It's not simple because I don't think I'm doing that good of a job explaining it. But I mean, it's a review. So as we figure, as this is going on, we see Christine before. So, again, apologies. I know this is kind of all over the place, but before Doctor Strange is taken off to see the Illuminati, we get the explanation that Christine is actually the one responsible for naming the different universes. So the universe they are currently in is Universe 838, and the main Marvel Cinematic Universe has been confirmed to be Universe 616. So that's actually kind of cool. I know it's kind of been hinted at and stuff like that, especially in Spider-Man Far From Home. Mysterio had mentioned that the universe they were in was 616, but it was kind of on the fence, do we believe this? Is Mysterio actually from a different, universe, because obviously his main basis of his character was that he lied about things. So didn't quite know it at the time, but now it is fully confirmed that the main Marvel Cinematic Universe is Universe 616. So Strange and America Chavez are both in Universe 838 right now, where the Illuminati exist. So as Strange is taken to be seen by the Illuminati, we get to see the different characters in the Illuminati, which from other little TV spots from promoting the movie, we saw at least one or two, but confirmed this was one of the biggest points in the movie. Captain Carter, Peggy Carter as Captain, as their universe's Captain America of sorts. Captain Marvel, Maria Rambeau, Monica Rambeau's mother, which is pretty cool at the same time. And then some of the bigger names, we have Black Bolt. Again, this was Anson Mount returning as Black Bolt. Now, Black Bolt, for those for those that may not know, Black Bolt is the leader of the mutant group, the Inhumans. The Inhumans was a Marvel TV show back in the day when when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was around. Although Inhumans was probably regarded as one of the worst Marvel projects that's been out there. I know a lot of grief is given to Thor: The Dark World, but I think people kind of would throw this in that same kind of conversation, and may also say that it's worse than Thor: The Dark World. I remember seeing maybe 1 or 2 episodes, and I could not get into it, so I can't say much about it. I'm just kind of stating what the general consensus of it was. But either way, they got the actor who played the leader in that show to show up in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So that was pretty interesting. I honestly would not have thought that would be a thing. And then possibly the biggest shock out of the Illuminati, we see John Krasinski playing Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic. So that is huge. Fantastic Four has had 2 different versions of movies already, both not really considered or put in high regard by anyone, because they just weren't the greatest. I feel the first version that had Chris Evans playing Johnny Storm and everything like that, that was better than the reboot that we got, I think, in 2014, I believe. Either way, so super big news. I was not expecting any sort of Fantastic Four inclusion at all. Absolutely amazing. Got a huge reaction in theaters and everything like that. It was just so cool. And it reminds me, it's mind-blowing, because I know so many people for the last few years have kind of fan-casted John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards. And it actually happened. That's just not something you hear about every day. Like a big studio, something like this, essentially listening to the fans, putting him in this role. So it was pretty wild to see. And then obviously, to round out the Illuminati, we get Patrick Stewart returning as Charles Xavier. Again, I know they kind of heavily hinted that was he was part of the team, because we got that voiceover of we should tell him the truth, and Patrick Stewart's voice is pretty easily recognized. So, but to see him actually still show up in the movie was absolutely amazing, and everything like that. So goosebumps all throughout. Wow, I can't believe they're actually going through with this. It's just so cool to see all of these collectively different characters show up at once and everything like that. So through the Illuminati, we learn that that Universe 838 Doctor Strange had used the Darkhold to essentially defeat Thanos and everything like that. Not quite the story that was put on the statue, because of this, Universe 838 Strange basically knew that the Darkhold is more than likely going to corrupt him. So he basically made the decision to take himself out. We find out Titan or we see Charles Xavier projecting what had happened in that universe onto 616 Doctor Strange. Basically, we see Thanos is dead. Strange is on his knees on Titan, and they're all on Titan. And then Strange basically ready to let himself go, because he knows that he's used the Darkhold. He probably will get corrupted, so he can't let that happen. He can't let a power like that happen. So they have Black Bolt use his power, which is Black Bolt pretty much can amplify his voice to pretty much earth-shattering volumes. So he just utters the words, "I'm sorry." The fork on his head activates and amplifies his voice to where Strange is pretty much eviscerated into nothingness. So after that, Strange is kind of taken aback by that. 616 Strange is taken aback because he's not quite sure why they would put a statue of 838 Strange, basically making him out to be a hero when he kind of wasn't, because he went through a dark path in order to defeat Thanos. So after that, Strange gives a brief rundown of why he's there and everything like that, and why he needs the Darkhold that's in Universe 838, because Wanda I completely kind of skipped that portion of the story. In Universe 616, Wanda essentially destroyed the Darkhold after using it so that no one else could use it. Wong then explains that there is a sort of ruin far away that has the scriptures on within the walls. That way, since the Darkhold was destroyed, it was a copy. So they need Wanda needs to get to these ruins that have the inscriptions on the walls, so that she may use the spells in order to dreamwalk to get to America Chavez. Again, I know this kind of rundown is all over the place, so I'm hoping that you're staying with me. So yeah. After we find out that Strange tells him that he needs it, obviously he's met with some questionable thinking. They're not just going to give up the Darkhold that they have in Universe 838. At the same time as this is happening, Wanda finds out where they're at in Universe 838, uses her alternate universe self, puppeteering her alternate universe self, and begins to invade where the Illuminati are. The Illuminati gets wind of this, sees their Ultron bots being destroyed pretty easily. That's when the Illuminati goes to confront Wanda. So with this, as they first confront her, again, this was a pretty bold choice, and again, Wanda essentially picks them off one by one, killing them. Wanda is met first by Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, John Krasinski. He tries to appeal to her, to say I have children too. I know this isn't what you should. This isn't you. Please don't do this, and everything like that. Wanda, being in the state that she is, doesn't care. Essentially turns him into blue spaghetti and pops his head. So it was right then and there. I'm thinking, what, she's gonna kill all of them, isn't she? And then proceeds to pretty much exactly do that. I think one of the more gruesome ones was again, got ahead of myself. She first took out Black Bolt. So obviously Black Bolt uses his mouth to pretty much take out anyone that he needs to. Wanda, being able to essentially rewrite reality any way she wants, takes his mouth away just as he was about to say something. He said something right before she took his mouth away, which activated his fork, which again amplifies his voice. So as soon as his power was activated, she takes away his mouth. He can't do anything. The force or the percussion of his mouth is essentially what causes him to have his head implode. We see, like, I think it was the right side of his head, like, just kind of cave in. Like, it was pretty gruesome, but pretty cool at the same time. So, takes that Black Bolt first, then turns John Krasinski's Reed Richards into essentially blue spaghetti, pops his head, and then starts to, like, do battle with Maria Rambeau's Captain Marvel and Captain Carter. So there's a little bit of back and forth between them and everything like that. Captain Carter throws her shield at Wanda for a second time. Wanda catches it with her magic and then proceeds to just hurl her shield literally right through Captain Carter. Essentially, like, we don't see her split in half, but it is heavily implied that she was split in half as she throws the shield, goes through Captain Carter. Shield gets, like, impaled, or like just crashes into, like, a wall, and then blood dripping all the way down. Maria Rambeau, has kind of like the best shot, I believe, against Wanda. So they they throw heaps of energy against each other until, like, Wanda eventually just overpowers Maria Rambeau, and then they both kind of, like, split off. Their energies kind of collide with one another, kind of pushing them both backwards. Wanda then sees, like, a huge statue, uses her magic to essentially push, or, like, pull the statue onto Maria Rambeau and essentially squish her. So that leaves all members except basically Mordo and Charles Xavier. So then Charles Xavier tries to go into 838 Wanda's mind to try and, like, essentially free her from 616 Wanda's control of her. He almost kind of, like, is able to do this until we see 616 Wanda come up from behind him, snap his neck within her mind, essentially killing Charles Xavier in Universe 838. Again, super gruesome and everything like that. So I thought it was kind of cool in a kind of morbid way, but yeah, I was not expecting any of this at all. So Mordo was left with Strange to kind of bicker and argue. They have a fight to where Strange is able to get the handcuffs off of him, or at least halfway off of him, to where neither of them could use magic. Strange eventually escapes, out duels or bests Mordo, to where he escapes out from underneath, like, the pit that they have in front of, like, that kind of meeting area. Strange eventually meets up with Christine and America Chavez. Come to find out that Universe 838's Doctor Strange has a waypoint to the Book of Ashanti, so they essentially start to go through that way. They make their way to the waypoint so that they can, America Chavez and Doctor Strange can get to the Book of Ashanti, so that Doctor Strange can get whatever he needs to defeat Wanda. So they eventually make their way to the waypoint, but just as soon as they grab the book, Wanda is able to catch up with them and takes a hold of America Chavez. So as this is going on, like, Strange isn't able to beat Wanda here. Wanda uses a little bit of America Chavez's power to summon a portal to an alternate dimension, essentially pushes, or, like, is able to get Strange into, like, another dimension and everything like that, while Universe 838 Wanda delivers America Chavez to 616 Wanda. So now we have Doctor Strange in a completely different, like, uncharted, like, universe. Don't know where he's at. He eventually confronts another version of himself and everything like that. This version of Doctor Strange is the one that's seen in the trailers as saying things just got out of hand. This Doctor Strange guards the Darkhold, so this Doctor Strange is corrupted, has a third eye, and everything like that. This 616 Strange and this corrupted Doctor Strange end up fighting to try and because Strange wants the Darkhold to be able to essentially dreamwalk to confront 616 Wanda, since he has no way of getting home right now. 616 Strange is able to eventually defeat corrupted Strange and uses corrupted Strange's Darkhold to dreamwalk. Now, normally you have to you can summon demons or pretty much anyone that you can think of that you would want to corrupt, or use as a kind of like a puppet. Strange chooses to take control of the Dream Strange, the Defender Strange, that we saw in the beginning. Although this Strange is dead, so he essentially reanimates this Strange as sort of a zombie Doctor Strange. Straight away, again, this has Sam Raimi written all over it and everything like that. So essentially, Doctor Strange summons Zombie Strange to fight 616 Wanda, and although it looks as though there's some back and forth going here and there, it doesn't look like Strange is going to be able to defeat Wanda. This is when America Chavez essentially gives Wanda what she wants and shows her. We go back to 838 Wanda and showing that 616 Wanda collides with 838 Wanda. Tommy and Billy of Universe 838 see 616 Wanda and freak out, which kind of makes 616 Wanda break down, thinking I'm not a monster and everything like that. So she kind of sees the error in her ways there, in that she can't take away 838 Wanda, because essentially they're not her children. They're not 616 Wanda's. So she kind of sees the error in her ways, and in the ruins that she's in, because it turns out, we find out that it's actually her tomb / throne. She goes the route of this stuff cannot be used anymore. The Darkhold cannot be used again, so essentially she collapses the ruins on herself and everything like that, with Zombie Strange in it too, as while Wong and America Chavez leave. As the ruins are collapsing, we see a burst of red energy / magic, so I don't know if it's meant to lead people to think that either Wanda is alive or dead. Me personally, I don't think she's dead. I think that would be kind of a dumb move on Marvel's part right now to essentially kill off one of their more popular characters. I think Wanda's popularity has definitely grown since WandaVision. But after this, we see that Strange is now able to, Wong and America Chavez both portal to where 616 Strange was kind of stranded. So essentially that's how Doctor Strange gets back into main MCU 616. And so that was kind of all over the place. I'm sure if you haven't seen the movie yet and you go see it now, I'm pretty sure you'll see it's very much more coherent and everything than my kind of run through is. But either way, I think you kind of get the gist. And if you don't, if I made you even more confused, I'm sorry. So, the first post-credit scene sees Strange. I can't even go into the post-credit scene just yet. We see the movie ending with Doctor Strange kind of leaving the sanctum, walking out of the Sanctum Sanctorum, just like maybe going on just a walk or anything, he gets maybe 10 feet out of there and starts like stumbling and drops to the ground and starts yelling, and then we see a third eye appear. The third eye is what the corrupted Strange had, so I think this is leading us to believe like Doctor Strange has been corrupt because he used the Darkhold of that corrupted Strange's universe. I don't know exactly if we're gonna go the route of evil Doctor Strange or not, but alright, so then now we can get into the first post-credit scene to where we see Doctor Strange leaving the Sanctum Sanctorum again when he is confronted by a woman dressed in some kind of purple, like kind of outfit, and it looks like she has symbols like on her, like on throughout her outfit too, kind of reminiscent of what Strange's spells look like. Basically, she needs help trying. Well, they leave it pretty ambiguous as to what exactly needs to be done or where they're going. She cuts open the reality essentially of 616, and then in the background it looks like the same area where Doctor Strange battled Dormammu. So basically it ends with her, like this lady saying, like, are you scared, like, or anything like that, and then it ends with Strange like looking at her scared, like he essentially says like, scared? No. His third eye appears, and then they jump off screen, and that is the first post-credit scene. Second one was your typical kind of like joke kind of one that you kind of can kind of come to expect from Marvel. It sees Bruce Campbell's Pizza Papa. Earlier, when Strange in America Chavez first get into Universe 838, America Chavez says like food is free in most other universes, and she doesn't know why 616's universe you have to pay for food, but turns out like the pizza balls that she ended up thinking were free weren't free, which she is then confronted by Bruce Campbell's Pizza Papa on the street, and then in order to just kind of get Pizza Papa off their back, Strange puts like a little spell on him, where we see like Bruce Campbell's character like beating himself up, and Strange says it'll like the spell will like wear off soon, like sometime soon. And cut to the very last post-credit scene, we see like Bruce Campbell's Pizza Papa kind of bruised up. We don't quite know how long he's been beating himself up, but finally stops. We hear him say like he starts laughing, then he says it's over, and then we get like kind of that typical Sam Raimi kind of zoom in, and that's it. So there you have it, a very messy and all over the place kind of rundown of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So my takeaways, I liked this movie, I really do. I also think at the same time it kind of falls under the typical kind of sequel curse, in that it doesn't quite live up to like the first one, because the first one I thought was pretty good, like, pretty well laid out character origin story and everything like that. I think this movie is going to be kind of divisive to people, and I say that because this was a pretty, like, a very much of Sam Raimi movie, and if you're unfamiliar with Sam Raimi's like kind of directing style and everything like that, you're probably gonna be like kind of confused, and you may not like it. Me personally, I am familiar with Sam Raimi's like directing style. I like his movies, most notably Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness. That's kind of like what he's most known for, because he does like primarily horror movies. So that you can see like where like some of the horror aspects like came into this. Like there was a lot more violence and brutality in this Marvel movie, which personally I liked. I think you kind of needed stuff like that in the comic book movie, because it's not all just kind of like kicks and punches and energy being thrown back and forth. Like, there is like blood, there is like dismemberment and everything like that. I don't think you need necessarily like dismemberment in like a lot of them, but I feel like blood goes like a long way in things. But again, I know at the same time this is a Disney thing too, and they need to make sure this is of a certain quality to make sure that kids like will want to see this and everything like that, because kids obviously are their bigger demographic and everything like that, so they don't want to put things in movies that are gonna like make kids shy away from their movies and everything like that. So yeah, I think like the pacing and everything was like kind of weird at times. Going back to the scene where Zombie Strange is seemingly like defeated and everything like that, but at one point towards the end of the movie, we see like Zombie Strange put Wanda in some sort of like magic like ball with like spells on it to kind of contain Wanda. Wong like steps in, like further puts on like a like stronger like magic to make sure she's like reinforced and like held in there. But as they're trying to like keep Wanda like contained and everything like that, we see like her arms start to poke through. Then it cuts to America Chavez and Zombie Strange like talking, having a full-on conversation of like the typical, I don't know how to control my powers, with Strange replying essentially, you know how to control your powers, you've actually known how to do this the entire time. Like, it kind of took me out of the movie because like there's a sense of urgency there to like contain Wanda and everything like that, but yeah, then it cuts to like maybe 2 or 3 minutes of dialogue between Strange and America Chavez going back and forth like, I can't do this, yes you can. So I get why it's in there, it just kind of took me out of the movie a little bit, but again, I see why it was there, but yeah. So again, like, I think it's going to be kind of divisive for people, especially if they don't know Sam Raimi and his directing style and everything like that. Personally, I liked the movie. I really did. I thought it was actually like a pretty decent sequel to the first Doctor Strange. I also like horror movies and everything like that. I wish something like this was kind of incorporated into more comic book movies. But yeah, I think it's gonna go either way. I've seen some people already kind of not like the movie, and again, it's fair criticism and everything like that. Like any movie, there's things that can be done better and everything like that. So I think overall it's going to be a positive on like Marvel's behalf and everything like that. I think it'll still do pretty good numbers at the box office and everything of the sort. I don't think it's gonna bomb. As I think I'll go that far. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's gonna bomb. But I think for the kind of like the Illuminati alone, I think people will kind of like go back and watch this movie again just to like see like those characters again, even though they were killed off. That's another thing. I know. I saw this movie. I've already seen this movie twice. I saw it at an advanced screening on Wednesday, and then saw it like the next day again in IMAX. So seeing it on that second time in IMAX, I knew what was coming. Everyone was absolutely cheering for the different like characters in the Illuminati, especially John Krasinski as Reed Richards and everything like that. Captain Carter, and like got like the John Krasinski, Captain Carter, and Charles Xavier got like the biggest cheers and everything like that, and that's pretty much what I expected. But I could hear kind of like the air being like sucked out of like the room, like the mood changing as soon as like everyone saw them being kind of picked apart one by one and everything like that. But that leads me to think that Universe 838 Illuminati, so Universe 838, Reed Richards, Captain Carter, Charles Xavier, that universe's versions of them are dead, not necessarily Universe 616, the main Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I think there's still could be potential for Fantastic Four to show up in the Universe 616 and everything like that. So again, I know like I am continuously a broken record about this, but seeing this in IMAX was absolutely amazing, and I will forever say, like, if you have IMAX in your area, I highly recommend seeing movies in IMAX because it just makes it so much better. Seeing the scene where Strange and America Chavez go through like different universes in IMAX was absolutely stunning. Seeing like just bits and pieces of like different universes, I absolutely loved it. One of the, like my favorite little parts, it was like maybe 2 to 4 seconds worth of footage. We see them at one point traveling through like the different universes and seeing the living tribunal. Like, what? I was not expecting that at all. It was amazing. I want to see more. For those of you that don't know, the living tribunal is a very powerful cosmic entity within the Marvel universe and everything like that. I'm like blanking on like what exactly its role, like their role is, but just trust me when I say like it was like a big deal to see them, like see the living tribunal. I mean, just the character design alone, like having 3 different faces within like one head, that's cool. Like that's the kind of stuff I want to see. So just seeing that even for like a brief few seconds was just so cool, because I hope we get to see the living tribunal again. So what else can we talk about this? I'll talk about the movie for. I really liked that they made Wanda like kind of the villain of this movie. I think there was purposeful misdirection in the trailers, because the trailers made it seem like Wanda and Doctor Strange were going to team up to fight some sort of, powerful being and everything like that. So to come to find out that Wanda is actually going to be the villain of the movie, that was pretty cool. I kind of suspected that might be the case, but I kind of left like some doubt in my mind just in case. Like, I didn't want like to be disappointed if it wasn't the case. But yeah, like seeing Wanda like as a huge credible threat, like that was pretty cool. Mixed with Sam Raimi's like kind of horror style, I thought made for like a pretty good combination. Like seeing like the different like that typical kind of horror like piano, like that, those hitting those notes whenever like she would appear and everything like that, like again gives me goosebumps because I love horror movies and everything like that. It's kind of like a typical thing to do in a horror movie when you have like a villain and stuff like that show up on screen. You have like those dreadful kind of like piano notes like appear. When she appeared right behind Professor Xavier in like 838 Wanda's mind and like snapped his neck, she looked so like devastating and scary and everything like that. Like I thought it like just looked so cool. Like I want like more villains to like be portrayed in a kind of like just that as villains, like psychotic villains who will pretty much do whatever they need to get what they want and everything like that. So yeah, I thought like seeing Wanda as the villain and everything like that was just so cool and everything. So what else can we do? Okay, so the first post-credit scene, I think it kind of leads in or kind of builds upon saying that I think this movie might be a little divisive and stuff like that too. It's kind of a bold choice. Like, so that woman that I had mentioned before that enlists Doctor Strange's help, she that is Clea Strange. So Clea, for those that are not aware, she made her first appearance in Strange Tales number, I believe it was, what was it? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I believe it was Strange Tales 126, which came out in August 11th, 1964. Yes, okay, so that is it. Clea is goes on to eventually be the wife of Doctor Strange and everything like that. And even so far, right now, like in the current comics, like 2022, like comic timeline, she is the Sorceress Supreme after the death of Doctor Strange. So I'm pretty interested to see where they take this character and everything like that, because she's not essentially new, but she's kind of been given new life in 2022 as far as the comics go. But I noticed that, like, once she appeared on screen, like, people may have recognized that it was, like, Charlize Theron, but people did not know, like, who what character she was. I know I heard some people had kind of, like, cheered, but overall people, like, there wasn't much of a reaction to it, because I'm pretty sure people were like, okay, who's that? Why should I care? So again, it might be, like, adding on to, like, why this movie might be a little divisive on people and everything like that, because it was definitely, like, not your typical kind of formulaic Marvel movie, which I'm okay with and everything like that, because I like movies that kind of stand on their own in terms of style and everything, just so long as it's coherent and it makes sense and everything like that. Obviously, not everyone's going to agree with this. Some people like what Marvel has done throughout the years and everything like that, and I do too. But at the same time, I like some variety and some difference. Again, just as long as it makes sense and everything like that. Like, I don't want to be taken too far out of the movie. So I'm wondering, like, what they're gonna do with Clea after this. Maybe we'll see them kind of show up again in Quantumania in Ant-Man's third movie. So I don't know. Seeing John Krasinski as Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic. Again, Universe A38's Mr. Fantastic is dead. So that means it still leaves still leaves it open for 616, like, Fantastic Four to be a thing. Are we gonna see the upcoming Fantastic Four movie? Is that gonna be based in 616, Universe 616, or is it gonna be something else? And if it is going to be Universe 616, who's going to lead it? Are they gonna bring back John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic? I think they would, again, be doing kind of like a disservice if they don't bring him back as Mr. Fantastic, because I also think that people are going to be a little, like, disappointed and or let down if he doesn't come back. But again, time will tell. On a, like, side note from Fantastic Four, John Watts, who was the director of Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home, was slated to direct this Fantastic Four movie, but has since stepped away from directing the movie, citing that it was an amicable, like, split, meaning that, both Marvel and John Watts kind of agreed, like, okay, yeah, you can step away from this and everything like that. From what I had read, John Watts just simply needed a break because he's been directing Marvel movies pretty much since 2016, so that's about 6 years of filming Marvel movies, and then I believe he did 1 or 2 movies that weren't Marvel, like, related and everything. So yeah, definitely, like, the man deserves a break and everything like that. So as of right now, the Fantastic Four movie that's slated to come out in a couple of years has no director right now, but who's to say, like, who that will be? Could it be John Krasinski? Could he, like, not only direct the movie but also be in the movie? He's obviously done A Quiet Place Part 1 and 2, which I thought were really good. So who's to say, like, who's gonna direct that movie? Kind of speaking of, like, taking a break, Benedict Cumberbatch had also mentioned that he's also taking a break from acting after Multiverse of Madness. Again, completely understandable. Playing Doctor Strange for at least 6 years. I'm, like, blanking on when the first Doctor Strange movie came out. But aside from the first Doctor Strange movie, he was also in Endgame, Infinity War. He was also in No Way Home, and yeah. So again, I think and he's also done movies as well in between, like, his Marvel movies. So again, well-deserved break. So yeah, I think that's gonna kind of wrap up, at least talk about, like, spoiler review of Multiverse of Madness. Again, overall, liked it. I know not everyone's probably gonna like this, but again, I really liked it. So seeing Wanda as a villain was pretty cool. I don't think she's dead, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see what comes of that. But as far as, like, the marketing goes, and again, before I get into marketing, I'll put in like a timestamp towards the beginning of the video of if you don't want to listen to me incoherently like talk about the movie. I'll put a time code as to when you can like skip all that and then get to this part. But the marketing, what's really stood out to me was Marvel finally disabled their comments for any sort of Multiverse of Madness post. Like finally, like this should have been the norm already. I don't know why it took them so long to like disable the comments on their posts like up until now. I'm glad they finally did it though. I guess, better late than never. Because some people just love spoiling it for others because they feed off of that like negativity for whatever reason. But yeah, I guess again, I wish this should have been like the norm like from the beginning, but better late than never, I suppose. I know this isn't fully going to stop people from spoiling things because people can obviously go on their own profiles and say whatever they want to, or go on like completely like non-related post and just say whatever they want, like spoil the movie there. But I know people that tend to do that would want to spoil it within like Marvel's like posts. So I'm glad Marvel is finally like kind of taking these steps to prevent spoilers. Should have been done earlier, but again, better late than never. So I think that'll wrap up my kind of review and everything like that for Multiverse of Madness. And in that, I want to kind of just talk about a few more things so that I can kind of like talk about other things that I haven't already talked about. So next thing we'll get into is the Thor Love and Thunder teaser. Like, this looks like fun. Again, like Taika Waititi, like taking this one on as well as he did Thor Ragnarok. It looks like it's gonna be fun, and this is just coming from a very short teaser. So Thor and Star-Lord continuing kind of where they left off from Endgame. They look like it's gonna be a lot of fun to see them like on screen again and like kind of interacting with each other. I'm also thinking that the Guardians of the Galaxy will probably only be like in the kind of the first act of the movie, where like Thor kind of like, then after that Thor like the movie will continue on to whatever else they have planned. So the villain of Love and Thunder is Gore the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale. No like visual representation, no like confirmation of him in this teaser at all yet. So I'm okay with this. I don't want them to give too much away or anything like that, so I think it's completely fine. We see like a quick shot of Russell Crowe as Zeus, which again is pretty cool to see. Like they're going like the Mount Olympus route for this too, which is pretty cool. And this is obviously all speculation here. I think that scene is going to have could potentially be the introduction that we get for Gore the God Butcher, and I think Gore is going to do exactly what his name entails, in that he's going to wipe out a lot of people right then and there, including Zeus. This could also be that where we get our introduction to Hercules in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and not Disney's Hercules. Marvel does actually have like a back history of having Hercules as a solo character, so maybe this is where we get a setup for Hercules somewhere down the road. I could see like everyone being like killed within the like that kind of scene, and Hercules being kind of left alone, and maybe we get some sort of background, like, or we get some sort of spin-off of Hercules like later, like in a future Marvel project or something like that. Another part of the teaser trailer, we see a shot of Thor and Korg looking on at a slain god. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Yes, but this trailer, or this shot, 100% straight out of the comics, which looked absolutely gorgeous. Pretty much the only real difference between the between the movie and the comic is that the comic only has Thor, whereas the movie has Thor and Korg. But I'm pretty sure I have it up on the screen right now and everything like that. But 100% straight out of the comics, looks so cool. The thing that Thor and Korg are looking over is Balagar the Behemoth, and I'm assuming that's like someone that Gore is more than likely killed, kind of to put in perspective what Gore is capable of and everything like that. But again, that shot was taken straight out of Thor God of Thunder #3. So cool to see and everything like that, to see pretty much like comic art coming to life. And then towards the end of the trailer, we get our first shot of Jane Foster as Mighty Thor. Again, so cool. I'm glad that like Mighty Thor is like being brought to life and everything like that. And something else I noticed too, in that this is a rare kind of instance in where a helmet like actually kind of correctly like hides the person's face, because I know that's Natalie Portman underneath that helmet, but it doesn't look like her when she has a helmet on. So bravo to like the studio for like creating a prop like that kind of leaves it ambiguous, that you can't, like, you know who it is, but like at least to me, I can't quite tell that it's Natalie Portman, even though I know it is her. And again, Marvel like released this trailer, and then maybe a day or two later, like IMAX posted like their IMAX like ratio version of the poster. Again, me personally, I love IMAX. I'm definitely going to be seeing this in IMAX and everything like that. Again, IMAX is the only way like for me to see like this like a movie. So I know, broken record, please stop talking about this already, but if you have IMAX in your area, I highly recommend you see it. It doesn't have to be a Marvel movie, it could be any movie. It will 100% be worth like your money and everything like that. Okay, that takes care of Thor: Love and Thunder. And now I want to talk about Moon Knight. Moon Knight, as of this recording, has like episode 6 of season 1, the final episode of season 1, is now come and gone. Moon Knight as a whole was I really enjoyed it. So good. Oscar Isaac had such, to me, like a standout performance and everything like that. Episode 5 alone, when it's the majority of the time is Oscar Isaac's Mark Spector in the institution, so well acted. Like to me, like he conveys like emotions so well to where like you just identify with him and you feel for him and everything like that. I've seen other people post like when he's Stephen Grant, like his accent is like so well done. Like you would think that Oscar Isaac was actually English rather than I know like Oscar Isaac is multiple like ethnicities. I just don't know exactly which ones exactly, and I don't want to like speak out like or like say something wrong or anything like that, but that just goes to show you like how well like he like handled his characters and everything like that. Moon Knight, again, is a character that I've liked for a while, and to be able to see him to come to life in his own show was just so cool. And again, like I know I mentioned it before, I really loved the way like the Mr. Knight suit looked like in live action, as well as like the main Moon Knight suit too. Just so cool. Like it looks like they took obviously direct influence from the comics and everything like that, especially like when he takes to the sky and like uses his cape and everything like that in the shape of like a crescent moon and everything like that. Like how it's just so cool. And in like the final episode of season 1, we see him battling Arthur Harrow and everything like that. I love how it transitions from like at one point you'll see like Mr. Knight like throwing punches, and then it'll turn to Arthur Harrow, and then comes back to Moon Knight, but this time he's actually like he's Mark Spector Moon Knight, not Stephen Grant Moon Knight. Just so well done and everything like that. Seeing Layla kind of like, not kind of, she is like her own superhero now and everything like that. It's so cool. Like, I hope like this isn't the end of this. And I also liked that the post-credit scene for the final episode, we finally get the reveal of the third personality of Mark Spector, and that being Jake Lockley. So we see Arthur Harrow being like wheeled out into a limo, and first we come to find out that Arthur Harrow is being wheeled out of a psychiatric like hospital. Not quite sure like what entirely that means, because I think the writers and directors have made like a really good effort into like making everyone guess like what's real, what isn't, because I've been like thoroughly like kind of confused, like, is this real? Like, I don't know if this is real, or is this all in someone's head or anything like that. But and I love that Jake was, we come to find out Jake was the one to eventually take out and kill Arthur Harrow. So, and then after that, we see Khonshu and Jake Lockley driving off, and that was it. So, there was pretty big speculation as to whether or not this was going to be a show that continues on for another season or not. So, from what I had seen, there was a tweet sent out initially saying by Disney, saying that not to miss the series finale, like. And then I guess that tweet was deleted. Then about 15 minutes later, the tweet was put out again, but this time, instead of saying series finale, it was being shown as season finale, implying that there's going to be another season. So no telling exactly whether or not this is going to be, if Moon Knight is going to get like another season or not. I think it would kind of be a crime at this point not to have another season, because I think the overall impression of Moon Knight has been like very positive to people, and I think people have really kind of gravitated toward the way Oscar Isaac like portrays Mark Spector / Stephen Grant / Jake Lockley. So I think if they weren't going to do more with this character, I think that would kind of be a shame and everything like that. And again, I mentioned it this last episode, but Oscar Isaac had only signed on for one season because Kevin Feige didn't want to hold down actors to portray a character for like so many different movies or shows to where they got burnt out. But again, as we've seen more so in the last few years, actors will deliberately lie about their status on something, or like if they're in something or not in something, on purpose to like kind of throw us off, to keep everything a surprise, which is completely fine. But all we know is that everything is kind of uncertain right now, as if Moon Knight will return. I feel like they'll bring him back, but again, it's still up in the air. But again, I think Moon Knight's coming back. And to kind of wrap up, excuse me, that and kind of wind down this episode, because we are now clocking in at over an hour of talking right now. And again, I know that's kind of a lot. Phase 4 has seemed to be heavily focusing on mental health, and I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I'll run through some different examples from what I've noticed, and I know I'm not the only one who's like noticed this and everything. But to like start with, like, because especially like the Disney Plus stuff, like we'll start with like WandaVision. Like straight away, like right then and there, like Wanda dealt with so much grief in that whole like show, losing her family and everything like that, deciding whether or not she wanted to like either stay in her like fake reality to where she knows like that's like the only way like her family can exist, or to essentially like let go and then deal with the fact that her family does not exist in this reality. that's some pretty like hurtful stuff, like to know that, you know, your family is gone and they're not coming back. And then in No Way Home, we had Peter like losing Aunt May and then essentially like starting his life over. Like we see that final swing like shot scene and everything like that. He's alone. Like he is essentially that. No one remembers who he was. He's on his own. Has no aunt. He's in an apartment now by himself. Like the guy probably needs a hug. Like being alone like that and like living with like the thoughts of like he knows everything else that's happened, and like seeing like MJ at the diner and everything, like he wanted to tell her so badly but he didn't. But yeah, like that's rough too. And then Falcon and Winter Soldier, Bucky like dealing with PTSD from all of his like his past of being the Winter Soldier and everything like that. That was pretty like rough to deal with too, because come to find out like the old man that he spends like so much time with, he does it out of grief and guilt, because you know Bucky killed the older man's like son like as the Winter Soldier, and it wasn't like just, well, it was a random killing is what I was kind of getting at. Like he didn't have to kill like the older man's son, but like unfortunately the son was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Bucky felt like he had to take him out, and he did. So dealing with PTSD like that, and just any of like the people that he's killed in the past, like that's so bad. Like it's so sad like to deal with and everything like that. Loki, and then going over to the Loki show. Loki kind of having to deal with like the morality about being able to change, the like pretty much the running thought of am I good enough to change, or am I too far gone, and should I just kind of stay, you know, quote unquote evil and everything like that. I know there's like when he was caught in that loop with like Sif, the whole like that line of him like her telling him like you deserve to be alone, you always will be, like that's really like so like rough to tell someone. Like I know there are bad people out there and everything like that, and I feel like there wouldn't be as many bad people if some of us just weren't alone, because love is what needs to be like prevalent throughout the world. I feel like if there's more love, there wouldn't be so much suffering and everything like that. It's tough like to tell someone like you deserve to be alone and you always will be. Like that's not easy to deal with at all. Like people got like a first-hand experience like of that in 2020 with the pandemic, when a lot of stuff was like closed down. We had to stay quarantined and being away from loved ones and everything like that. Being alone is not easy. It will 100% like tear you down if you let it. And I know it's easier said than done than to like quote unquote just let it happen, but it's again, I say it at the end of every show, like every episode so far, like take care of yourself, like, and I 100% mean that. It just so turns out like May is also mental health awareness month. Like it's something we definitely need to get, like as a whole, like as people, like we need to get better about like not only talking about it but treating it too, because it's not good like the way like it is like dealt with, especially like here in the States. The mental health system is horrible and how we like handle things and everything. But I'm getting off on like a little bit of a tangent there. Getting back to Loki, the soundtrack for Loki, if you listen to the song Glorious Purpose, it's like one of my favorite like tracks of the original soundtrack. Like the last 24 seconds of that song, like whenever I hear that, and if you listen to it, you'll know exactly what I mean, in that it just gives me that feeling of being alone and that isolation and everything like that. Like that's what I picture every time I hear like those last 24 seconds. Just that feeling of alone, being like by yourself, like kind of like being a prisoner of your own mind and everything like that. It's like it's expressive, but in a good way. So if you haven't like listened to like the original soundtrack, like song of Glorious Purpose from the Lofi soundtrack, it's pretty good. Black Widow, we have Yelena, like she lost her sister and everything like that. They were kind of like estranged for a while, and then like in the Black Widow movie we find out they finally reunite and everything like that, and then we have the events of Endgame, and then she comes to find out like while Yelena was blipped, like when she was gone from Thanos snapping, then she finds out her sister is dead, and she didn't even like get to say goodbye or anything like that. And again, like grief and death and everything like that. And again, just another example, like what if like the Doctor Strange episode, Strange could not live with the fact that Christine was dead, so he literally did anything and everything that he could, but he just couldn't face the fact that Christine's death was a fixed point in time, and it was always going to happen no matter what. So being able, like, again, like not wanting to lose like a loved one like that, it's devastating, like to like kind of realize that yes, like our loved ones will probably like leave us at one point. So it's scary, like and again, one other example is Shang-Chi as well. His father, like, essentially becoming the person that he has to fight and like kind of take down. It's not easy, like fighting your parents. Like you're supposed to, like we're like brought up to like think that we're supposed to love our parents. Granted, not all parents are good and everything like that, but you don't ever really want to like have to come to the fact that you have to like break down your parent or anything like that. Like it's brutal. And then obviously with all of everything that's happened in Moon Knight, like very heavily like focusing on mental health aspect, everything like that, it's crazy. So yeah, just to kind of wrap all of that up, it seems like Phase 4 so far has really like leaned heavily on the whole mental health aspect. And I hope that anyone listening to this, I hope you're taking care of yourself as best as you can, because I know it's not easy. Not everyone's going to be able to fully take care of themselves. As long as you're trying and everything like that, that's what's important, because trying implies that you're doing something rather than doing nothing. As long as you keep at it, like as long as you keep trying, you never truly fail. You only truly fail once you completely stop. And even at that, even if you start trying again, you're no longer failing. Just keep trying, keep pushing if you can. And if you feel like you can't do it yourself, like reach out, because I'm more than likely someone else is going through what you are too, and they're more than likely like willing to help. Just again, just try not to like take everything on all by yourself, because there are people out there willing to help. There are good people, I can promise you that. So with that being said, I'm gonna wrap up this episode. This is another long episode. I didn't think it was gonna be over an hour long again, so apologies for my ramblings and everything like that. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you'll be back for another one. So yeah, go see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I thought it was pretty good, and yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, so like what I said earlier, I'm blanking on what I was like gonna say, and yeah. So again, just more ramblings. Take care of yourself. It's rough out there, so yeah, take care of yourself.